Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to understanding the big shifts happening all around us.
That's right.
And today, we're jumping into something moving incredibly fast, the future of AI and robotics in medicine.
It really is accelerating. Things that felt like pure science fiction maybe 5, 10 years ago, they're becoming reality.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah,
set to really shake up how you personally experience healthcare.
definitely.
We've got some fascinating insights today from Dr. Jose Cisneros. He's both a physician and holds a PhD in biomedical engineering, so he brings this really unique perspective.
Really valuable combination of expertise for this topic.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack how this powerful mix, AI and robotics, isn't just tweaking healthcare, it's fundamentally revolutionizing it.
From top to bottom.
Right. We're talking impacts on the doctor-patient relationship, the core of medical practice, basically everything. So, yeah, get ready. This stuff directly impacts your future.
Okay, let's dive in.
So first off, this rapid adoption. Dr. Cisneros draws this really compelling parallel, between how fast tech evolved in our daily lives and what's happening now in AI and medicine.
The comparison really lands, I think.
Yeah, think about personal computers. They went from these niche things to being everywhere. Or portable internet.
Or smartphones.
Mhm.
He really singles out the iPhone, doesn't he?
He does. How it turned basic phones into these incredibly powerful little computers in our pockets seemed futuristic, then bam, it's just normal.
And he argues healthcare tech is on that exact same path. Same speed, same kind of disruptive potential.
He also makes a really crucial distinction between what he calls brute robots and intelligent robots.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, brute robots are the ones pre-programmed for repetitive tasks, like on an assembly line,
Yeah.
right? They just do the same thing over and over.
Got it. No thinking involved.
Exactly. But the intelligent robots, they're the game changers. These
Yeah.
machines can actually interpret reality, make complex decisions, act with, a fair bit of autonomy based on their programming.
And that's the category set to transform medicine.
Precisely.
Okay, and that distinction matters because, well, the capability that intelligent AI already shows in medicine is pretty astonishing. It makes you ask, how does this actually translate into, like, practical medical knowledge?
Right. What can it do?
Well, Dr. Cisneros points out something startling. AI already beats human doctors at answering medical and scientific questions.
Really beats them.
Yeah, he cites stats showing AI hitting over 90% accuracy. Meanwhile, even the best human doctors might only answer, say, 30% of broad knowledge questions satisfactorily. AI can even pass complex medical exams.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce there?
It really boils down to two things. First, AI has access to just unbelievable amounts of diverse data, way more than any human could ever process.
Makes sense.
And second, it's the logic built into its neural networks, especially these large language models, which are trained on massive text data sets. They're incredibly good at understanding and using language.
Which is key for medicine, right? It's not
Yeah.
all numbers.
Exactly. We think of medicine as data and tests, but so much of it is narrative, patient stories, symptoms, descriptions. AI's ability to process that language element is a huge advantage.
So if AI is getting so good at managing and interpreting information, what does that mean for the traditional role of a doctor? Their job is often centered around exactly that.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And from a doctor's viewpoint, it's complex. On one hand, maybe it helps with the information overload, but on the other,
Does it devalue the human element?
potentially.
Yeah.
Dr. Cisneros definitely sees it contributing to what he calls industrialized medicine. He talks about a huge crisis in healthcare staffing globally. Doctors are just overwhelmed.
Leading to what he calls a fractured medical act.
Yes, where providing that comprehensive, holistic patient care becomes really, really difficult.
He paints a vivid picture of what we've lost, doesn't he? That idea of the hour-long initial consultation.
Yeah, the first hour with a new patient.
Hmm.
And the first 10, 15 minutes weren't even about symptoms necessarily.
It was about building rapport.
Right. Trust, empathy, letting the patient share anxieties, worries, personal stories, getting that whole picture home, family, job, stress levels.
The things that really matter for health, but you don't get in a quick checkup.
Exactly. And today, spending an hour with a patient is, well, it's rare. Consultations are often down to 5 or 10 minutes.
And he links that to insurance models.
He does. When insurance limits per patient payments, doctors basically have to see more patients just to make ends meet. Quality gets sacrificed for quantity.
So you get those offices with multiple rooms, doctor hopping between them.
Yeah. The only real exception he mentions is concierge medicine, where, Wealthy patients pay hefty annual fees like $20,000, $30,000, even more.
For longer appointments, direct access, house calls, the kind of care that used to be more standard.
It's a stark contrast. And think about the information volume today. Dr. Cisneros says a patient history used to be maybe 8, 10 sheets of paper. Now, if you printed the electronic record, it would be reams and reams.
Right.
Just managing that forces doctors to spend more time looking at screens than at the actual patient.
Which erodes that connection even further. It sounds exhausting.
It really does. You can feel the pressure he's describing.
What's fascinating, though, is that Dr. Cisneros himself saw this electronic future coming like decades ago. Tell us about his early venture.
Right. Back in 2000, he started a company called SysMed, Computing Information and Medicine Systems.
And the vision.
It was pretty radical for the time. A computer in every doctor's office, every pharmacy, with information flowing electronically between them.
This is back when most doctors barely used computers for email, right? And hospitals didn't really have networks.
Exactly. He saw himself as a pioneer. The venture didn't ultimately succeed out. He admits he miscalculated some things. But just 7 years later, around 2007, 2008,
Others started doing exactly that.
pretty much, big companies rolled out hospital intranets, electronic medical records, patient portals, e-prescriptions, everything he'd envisioned.
He tried it in Venezuela first, thinking it might be easier than the U.S. market.
Yeah, he thought it might be simpler outside the big leagues, as he put it.
Clearly ahead of his time. But does that early vision clash at all with his feelings now, especially about his own doctor?
That's a really interesting tension, because he deeply values his current primary doctor, describes him as young, compassionate, attentive, someone who still takes the time to listen and examine.
The kind of doctor he worries is disappearing.
Precisely. Even though this doctor is busy next appointments a year out, offers teleconsults, he represents that human connection Dr. Cisneros prizes.
And his big worry is, will that last?
Yeah. He genuinely wants his kids, his grandkids, to experience a human doctor. He acknowledges humans make mistakes, of course, but believes there's an empathy there, something irreplaceable.
So looking ahead, where does he see our first point of contact with healthcare going?
He predicts that soon, your first interaction won't be with a human nurse or receptionist. It'll be an interrogation, essentially, by an intelligent AI.
Where you share your whole life story with a machine. Maybe even a robot in your home.
That's the picture he paints. And he sees telemedicine as a clear step in that direction. Those brief 3 to 4 minute calls, just for authorizations or ordering tests, that's conditioning us for less face-to-face time.
Okay, but what gives AI this edge? It's not just being available 24/7 or making fewer errors, right? There's something more.
There is. He calls it the digital footprint advantage. Think
Right.
about it. An AI, especially one linked to, say, Google, or if you're chatting directly with something like ChatGPT, it knows practically everything about you.
Like browsing history, preferences, habits.
Political views, religious leanings, worries you've typed into a search bar, family stuff, job changes from social media, all of it. Vast amounts of metadata.
And that could be linked to your health profile.
Potentially, yes. Imagine it predicting a heart attack based not just on cholesterol, but on metadata showing increased stress, maybe from a divorce, job loss, even frequent travel patterns.
So the AI could know you better in some ways than your human doctor ever could.
That's the implication. He even suggests you might reach a point where you could demand that this AI becomes your primary physician.
Wow. That's a powerful and maybe, like you said, unsettling thought. Privacy, autonomy. Big questions there.
Huge questions. He doesn't dive deep into the ethics in this specific discussion, but his concern for the human connection definitely hints at that tension.
And he makes that striking point about future generations, doesn't he? The robot concert analogy.
Right. If you grow up only ever seeing super sophisticated robots performing rock concerts, you wouldn't miss a sweaty human rock star jumping around. You just wouldn't know any different.
So if future generations never have a human doctor, they might not feel they're missing anything.
That's his argument. The baseline expectation changes completely.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. What about the impact on doctors themselves, the professionals? He's been thinking about this for a while, too.
He has. And his view is pretty stark for some. He believes any doctor whose main job is processing information, diagnosing, planning treatment, they're vulnerable.
Because AI can do that information processing better, faster.
Essentially, yes. He thinks they won't be able to compete, and that role might become, well, obsolete.
What about surgeons? People doing hands-on procedures, weren't they considered safer?
Initially, yes. That was the thinking. The hands-on skills were uniquely human. But even that's changing fast.
How so?
Dr. Cisneros now says intelligent surgical robots are, quote, less than 2 years away.
Less than 2 years, that raises enormous questions.
Absolutely. The biggest one he flags is medical legal liability. If a robot makes a mistake during surgery, who's responsible? The surgeon overseeing it, the hospital, the manufacturer.
There are no easy answers there yet.
None at all. He also predicts we'll see global differences. Doctors in, say, developing nations where this tech is adopted more slowly, their traditional roles might last longer.
And this whole tech shift is happening alongside existing pressures in healthcare systems, right? It's not in a vacuum.
Exactly. He points to things like the doctor strikes in the UK's NHS.
Yeah.
He says it's not just about pay, but the whole cost of living versus compensation in a public system.
Plus the doctor shortages, like the estimated 30,000 deficit in the U.S.
Right. Which leaves doctors completely stretched thin. And sometimes that pressure leads them to seek other income streams, like adding cosmetic procedures, Botox, things like that, just to supplement their main income.
The system feels strained already.
Definitely. And AI is creeping into the operational side too, not just clinical. He talks about automated phone systems for doctors' offices.
Being replaced by AI voices.
Yeah, intelligent AI voices that can respond faster, document your concerns, suggest actions, order tests, maybe even handle basic prescriptions or authorizations.
And just notify the human doctor later.
Pretty much streamlining the admin, but again, potentially reducing human contact points.
It's amazing how capable these AI tools are becoming, even in just handling information, creating content. He did an experiment himself, right?
He did. A really interesting one. He used an AI app called Notebook LM. He fed it a 1-hour audio recording of himself just talking.
And what did it do?
It analyzed the whole hour and then generated a concise spoken summary. Essentially, it created a mini AI-narrated podcast of his own thoughts in Spanish.
And he was impressed.
Genuinely impressed.
Yeah.
Said it covered the key points well and the audio actually sounded good. A real demonstration of AI's synthesis ability.
Incredible speed of development.
Yeah.
But tying this back, Dr. Cisneros also really emphasizes something he feels we're losing the value of long-form engagement.
Yes, he's quite passionate about this, whether it's for learning or for a medical diagnosis.
He argues that real learning takes time, like 40 to 60 minutes of focus.
Right. He believes there are deep reasons, neurochemical, cultural, pedagogical, why we need that sustained focus to truly absorb complex information. It's why classes are traditionally around an hour long.
And he applies the same logic to that initial medical consult?
Absolutely. He argues a thorough consultation needs that hour to really get to know the patient, go through their history properly, do a full head-to-toe exam, checking ears, eyes, everything, and crucially, build that trust.
That time-intensive process is exactly what's being squeezed out.
Precisely. It's a core part of quality care that's becoming a casualty of the industrialized medicine trend he described, a really concerning loss.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, digging into Dr. Jose Cisneros' insights on AI, robotics, and the future of medicine.
It's a huge topic, and his perspective is really thought-provoking.
Yeah, from the speed of tech adoption to how that doctor-patient relationship is changing, even how we define a medical professional, it's clear we're right on the edge of some massive shifts.
Profound change feels like the right description.
So it makes you wonder, what will your next doctor's visit look like? Will it be a human? An AI? Some kind of blend?
It's becoming less theoretical and more of a practical question people will face soon.
Definitely. And here's something to really chew on, a final thought. Dr. Cisneros clearly cherishes his human doctor. He wants that connection for his grandkids.
That empathy, that human touch.
Right. But if an AI knows literally everything about you from your digital life, if it's always available, and if it potentially makes fewer diagnostic errors, will that human empathy be enough?
Enough to preserve the traditional way.
Yeah, or will convenience, data, and sheer analytical power ultimately win out and reshape healthcare completely, whether we prefer the human touch or not? What truly shapes the future here?